I have done it. I have engineered the ultimate Dragon Aptonoth! No matter, he may not have had the fire I was looking for, but how about the lightning? This time for sure, nothing can escape the fury of ice, the grip of the cold. He's just eating grass. No matter what element, he's just eating grass. So, hello there, my fellow riders. I hear you want to change the element of your Monstie. I hear you want a Dragon Astalos. I hear you want a Flaming Gammoth or a Lightning Bubbling Mizutsune. Well, good news. You absolutely can. And bad news. You absolutely can't. Okay. Let's get into this. First and foremost, you can change the primary element of every single Monstie in the game. Where is this primary element? Well, it is represented by this little stat on your Monstie's page. The symbol there denotes their current primary element. What this means is that is the damage of their kinship attack, and then the number beside it is how potent the attacks matching that element from that Monstie will be. Now, what decides the primary element? Well, it's quite simple. It's whichever elemental attack value is highest on the Monstie. So, if you have a 100 in everything except 110 in fire, that will show a fire symbol and 110. Cool. So, can we see what the other elemental values are except the primary one? No, we can't. That would be far too useful. However, we can diddle with the DNA and make one of the other elements overtake the primary. For example, lowly Aptonoth, if we give it a frost attack up gene, well, it will make its frost attack a higher value than its non-element attack, changing it from a primary non-element to a primary frost, and then changing it from your regular standard Aptonoth to this lovely blue highlighted masterpiece of a champion herbivore. So good so far, right? You need to find the small, medium, large, and extra large versions of the Ice Up, Water Up, Fire Up, Dragon Up, Thunder Up genes, whack them in your Monstie, and swap its element. Well, it's a bit more complex than that, and a lot more broken than that. So, firstly, putting in genes of an element that you want it to be that aren't the literal increase that element damage don't do anything. You could have a 9x9 fire bingo masterpiece going on, but if none of those genes are fire attack up, well, your monster's not going to be any hotter than he was to begin with, though he will have access to a load of fire-based attacks, so that's neat, I suppose. So all this is to say, the plus element damage genes for each element is what we need here, and you can stack them. You can have an extra large +2, you can have a large +2, a medium +2, and a small +2, taking up 4 gene slots, and that's the maximum extra element you can give a Monstie. So, what is the problem here? Well, first and foremost, the primary element defines the color of the Monstie. If they are their standard default normal element primary, then they will look normal standard default. If you change it, then they will change to reflect that. So, of course, we have our Lightning Aptonoth, we have our Dragon Aptonoth, we have a Dragon Yankut Ku, a little bit of red on the wings, which isn't normally there. Hell, we even have a Dragon Palumu, who very subtly changes, mind you, but the change is that the little spots on the end of his wings go from the normal pinky color to a glowing subtle red, which is actually quite nice. The problem is, though, not every Monstie changes. So, this is Astalos, and this is Dragon Astalos, this is Astalos, and this is Dragon Astalos. Now, I might just be blind, but I cannot see a difference between them, so that's a little bit of a shame. So yeah, not every single Monstie reflects the actual changes you put upon it. Further than that, then, not every Monstie keeps those changes if it has them visually in the battle. Frosty Aptonoth goes to normal Grey Aptonoth in the battle. However, Dragon Yankut-Ku stays Dragon Yankut-Ku in a battle. So, that's random. I don't know what decides that, but it is, as I just said, very random. It gets more interesting as we keep going here. So this is a Thunder Astalos, and thus his kinship attack will do thunder damage. This is a Dragon Astalos, and thus his kinship attack will do dragon damage. Now, normally, the kinship attack's animation nicely reflects the element. The Aptonoth Slip and Slide has the lovely ice explosion at the end, the ice spikes, that's really cool. And a lot of kinship attacks do nicely reflect the Monstie's new primary element. However, not in every case.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
So those Dragon Thunder Astalos twins, I mean, this is Thunder Astalos that you're seeing now, and then this is Dragon Astalos kinship that you're seeing now. I'll let you watch both of them together. I wouldn't blame you if you're a little bit
disappointed!
Because instead of adding like cool red energy, changing the lightning to red, adding extra effects or changes, it seems the Dragon Astalos kinship has just had effects taken away. But it's so weirdly done that again, it feels literally broken. Like he's just lost the glowing orb around his tail. And the explosion at the end just isn't there for Dragon. Even the crackling field of paralysis just isn't there for Dragon. That feels not deliberate. That feels like something's not quite working. So essentially, the rules of element changing your Monstie go like this. Every Monstie can be made any element. The kinship attack damage will reflect that element. Some Monstie's kinship attack animation will reflect that element, some kind of just won't, or will break. Some Monsties will change visually out in the field to reflect the element, and some of them kind of won't. Some Monsties will keep the visual change all the way in the battle, but some of them, again, kind of won't. Now this is the 5 rules of element changing, however there is a 6th that I have yet to reveal. Everything I've just said essentially doesn't matter because it's impossible, at least as far as we know, to keep your Monstie element changed as it levels up. Which means if you want a Monstie to not be the element it is by default at any kind of high level where it's useful in battle, where it doesn't get one shot, where it can do actual damage, level 20, 30, 40, 50 and so on, well then it's got to be its default element. What do I mean by that? Well, as you see, every single Monstie has general growth rates in each of the elements. So if we take something like, well, Astalos, you can see that the Thunder is 2 blocks higher than the other 4, with Ice being a little bit lower. So this means every time it levels up, the Thunder attack that it gains is fairly significant compared to, say, the Dragon attack it gains. So all this is to say that eventually, because the genes that add element attack just add a flat amount, they're not scaling, eventually, and you can see on screen as a good numeric example, now I've made up what actually gets added each time the Monstie levels up. It changes per Monstie, but you can see how it works. Eventually, because your Monstie is gaining more of their default base innate primary element than they are of the one that you want them to be, eventually, maybe this will help if I keep saying eventually enough, their primary element will outscale and overtake the one that you swap them to at a certain point. And this point usually happens between level 10 and 30. So, yeah, let's add rule 6. All Monsties will eventually go back to the default element, as leveling outscales even an extra large +2 gene. Now again, you could put in an extra large, a large, a medium, a small, all plus 2, and probably make it to like level 30 or something, but you're still not going to make it to any actual useful, usable level in both PvP and endgame PvE. So to do a quick and dirty example then, we have this Ice Aptonoff, who is much more growth in non-element than he is in Ice. He is level 1. Currently, Ice focused primary element. We hand in a quest which powers him to level 19, and lo and behold, he is now back to being a normal non-element Aptonoff. This will essentially eventually happen to any given Monstie, even if you overload it with maximum elemental genes in something other than their natural element. So there really is, I would say, something weird going on here. It's very different from Stories 1, and while technically, yeah, you can still change Monstie element, you certainly can't do it in any meaningful way, and it certainly doesn't work properly on every Monstie. And I don't really know why, I don't know how to fix that, and it's kind of a shame. And it really is to the point where I kind of 99% believe that something's just amiss here, that something's not quite working, that something is quite literally broken, because it doesn't make sense for the system to work like it currently does. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Maybe I have missed something, but believe me, I have tested so much here. Oh my god, so much, and this has been the result. So let me know what you think of this. Are you disappointed, or were you not planning on really changing the Monstie main element? I mean, to me, I actually don't mind, because I like the idea that a Monstie should be its actual element as its strongest. Then it makes your Monstie choice more meaningful, as opposed to just making it like a Monstie layered skin, and otherwise you just do anything that you want with it. I think that is definitely a factor. But at the end of the day, if people want a crazy element Monstie that doesn't make sense, but still you can technically do it, then why not? So, let me know. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Please consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.